Okay, I was having a little bit of trouble there with the counter. I thought you were gonna get like 11 minutes of me, not 11 minutes. It didn't take me 11 minutes to figure out there was a problem, but I couldn't figure out if it was recording or not. So I'm sitting here and I'm watching the number and it's going up and I'm panicking and I'm panicking. So I hit re-record and it says overwrite the last capture and I think I clicked no. So then I was like up to like 11 or 12 seconds of me just going. It was hilarious. It was funny. It was funny, but it wouldn't have been funny if I unintentionally put it on there. Pardon me, I'm a little bit hoarse tonight. I'm just a little hoarse. They've changed Mass. If you're Catholic, you know what I'm talking about. But like last week, they changed how Mass works, and how you say it, and it's so much longer. I mean, my husband claimed it was exactly the same amount of time, but I think he's wrong. I mean, it just felt so long, and like there was like so much talking. Like it seemed like there was more responses you had to give, and the creed got longer. It is hard being Catholic. Anyway, dun, 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 dun. Blood Ties, Book 1, The Turning. Oh, and you'll notice I'm drinking water tonight. I'm not drinking coffee with vodka in it. I'm not drinking any alcohol. I need to, I need to rein it in a little bit because, like when I was in my 20s, I would drink. I mean, my husband and I would like drink for anything. We'd just be like, "Yeah, we got the oil changed in the car. Let's drink to celebrate." And but not for anything special. Because like when I sold my first book, when I sold this book, because it's the first book I ever wrote, first manuscript I ever finished, first book I ever sold. And when it sold, we didn't do anything to celebrate. We were just like, I got kind of shell shocked. We lived in a 2-bedroom apartment that cost like $500 a month. It was not like a palace. It was tiny. It was like a really small apartment. And him and me and Joe and our baby and our first baby, because we have two babies. We have two kids. But we made hardly any money. I was working for a lawyer who was paying me under the table. Um, which was funny because he had this book where he hid his money and he cut the pages, like the middle of the pages out, and he was like, it says bankruptcy or it's about bankruptcy or something. And he's like, isn't that funny? Because he thought it was funny that he kept his money in a bankruptcy book. And I said, yeah, it would have been funnier if you would like cut the center out of like the employment and payroll regulations manual. And he didn't get it. No, no, no. I think he like laughed one time. Like the whole time I worked for him, I said something and he laughed. And it wasn't even that funny. It wasn't even like my best work. Whatever. I'm hilarious. I don't know what his problem is. Anyway, we're on chapter 4 when Carrie met Dahlia. Oh, but anyway, I was gonna say I'm getting too old to have a few drinks in the afternoon like I did yesterday when I had no children. I'm getting a bit old for that, so I'm water. And it's not Smart Water, actually. I bought Smart Water once, and I put tap water in the Smart Water bottle so I will look rich. Oh, yeah, Jen drinks that expensive water. Of course I do. I'm super rich. I also have a fake Starbucks cup. So if you see me with anything brand name, if you see me with anything brand name, it's a lie. Except for my Coach purse. My Coach purse is actually that is actually cool. I bought that as a reward for myself. Okay, kind of a reward for myself. I bought that. I didn't mean to buy myself a reward, but it was right after I signed my second contract. And I thought, as a reward for myself for pulling in such a good contract, I would buy a Coach purse finally. Um, that's not actually true. That's what the story I tell people. That's the story that I justify buying a Coach purse. What really happened was I was at the coffee shop and I don't remember what I was doing, but I went like this and I knocked a whole one of those great big like Friends type mugs of a latte into my purse. And I was like, yeah, that's never gonna come clean ever again. That's never gonna be clean again. So I went to the store, and that's where I was like, hey, I just signed this big fat contract. I'm going to buy this Coach purse. So my Coach purse is Coach. However, it's real, but the print of it is such that there's a part where it looks like somebody took a marker and wrote Coach, and so everybody who saw my purse was like, hey, nice Coach purse. You know, I'm like, yeah, it's really awesome. And they're like, no, it's really funny how you wrote Coach on there, because that's something I would do. I would get, what? If he doesn't want to hump you, he doesn't want to hump you. Leave him alone. I'm talking to my dogs. I just realized you probably couldn't hear the dog bark, because everything that I hear when I'm recording that sounds super duper loud ends up, I'll remark on it, and then you won't hear it in the video, so it just looks like I'm mentally ill. But my dogs are out there, and they're like, I don't know. They have a complicated relationship. They don't really like each other, but they're always humping in the driveway, and I don't know. Anyway, so we're on chapter 4, When Carrie Met Dahlia. At the end of the last oh, wait. I did it again. Okay. Spoilers. There are going to be spoilers. Somebody mentioned this, Bottled Tweaks. Hello. Mentioned that on Twitter. And I said, oh, yeah, well, you know, the book came out a long time ago. She goes, yeah, but there might be people who, I'm assuming you're a she. I'm sorry, you might be a he. But this individual said, you know, oh, you know, you're giving away spoilers. And I'm like, that's true. And there might be people who haven't read it. So this is like a warning to people who haven't read this book. I, Jennifer Armentrout, the person who wrote this book, the person who's reading this book, I'm going to spoil this book while we are reading it, because two things. I have a policy that if something came out over a year ago, it's no longer, you can't spoiler somebody. And I'm not saying like if you went to a movie right now, like, and then in January it's a new year, so you could spoiler it. It has to be like a calendar year from the time of the thing coming out. For example, spoilers here. I really wanted to see the movie The Others one time. I wanted to see it so bad. And this girl I knew, we were going somewhere, and she says, oh, you have to watch The Others, blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, why? And okay, here comes a spoiler for The Others. I'll make a hand signal. I'll just go like, yeah, like this. When the spoiler is over, if you just want to turn off the sound because you plan on watching The Others and it came out like 10 years ago. She's like, oh yeah, it's like the whole concept is like that the people are ghosts. That Nicole Kidman and her kids are ghosts. And I'm like, I just said I wanted to go see it, and it had come out like that November, and it was December, like the next. I was like, really? So it got spoiled for me, and so that's where I made up my one calendar year rule. But then I had somebody like really recently bitch at me for spoiling the first book of the Dresden Files. I'm like, seriously? How long has that series been out? Like, forever. That series has been out forever. And you haven't read the first book yet? Well, I was planning on reading it. No, you weren't, because you would have read it by now. It's been like, what, like at least 10 years, 12 maybe? Yeah, is this the first one? Is Deadbeat the first one? It could be. Oh yeah, check it out. Signed copy. Jealous you would be if you saw my signed copy collection. I have quite a few Gina Showalters in there because I love her, and she's fantastic, and everything about her is like sunshine. So is this the first one? I can't remember. But, oh no, it's not, because it's 2006. But anyway, the point is that if it's been out for that long and you haven't read it or saw it, you don't intend to. Anyway, so we're in chapter 4, When Carrie Met Dahlia, and there will be spoilers. The way that she left it with Nathan was she was going to wait and think about the movement, and she wasn't going to feed. She was just going to try to not feed. But all she wants to do is get blood. Like, she wants blood nonstop, in a way that, like, you know, if you've ever tried to quit smoking, you really want a cigarette, and you will get completely dressed at 2 a.m. and drive out to the store for it. There's no creature dying in the background. If you can hear that, that's just the sound my dog makes when he itches his back on the carpet. He just really loves the carpet. Anyway, Yeah, so that's not like nobody's shooting a porno in there. That's literally just a dog enjoying having his back scratched. So she's hungry, she wants blood, but she can't like make herself try blood because she's working at the hospital, so she has access to it, but she can't make herself try to drink blood because she's freaked out by the prospect, which, if you've ever worked in a hospital, you would be, and especially if you're a doctor. So then she read the Sanguinarius to see, 'cause she's kind of seeing, she's going through one of those like cartoon things where the people kind of like turn into food. Except for all she can see is like their veins. But I imagined that whole sequence like Daffy Duck, like being stranded on the island and he sees like Pepe Le Pew or something and he turns into a little rotating turkey on a spit or what have you. Um, so she's really having a hard time with the hunger and finally she gets to the point where she can't deny that she's hungry for blood anymore. And so she goes to Nathan's house and he's not there. And he said, come to me. But he's not there and she can't get a hold of him and she's freaked out. And then so she decides, I'm a vampire. I'm going to go out and I'm going to drink from somebody. And she goes out and she's trying to pick up somebody. And she spots a woman going, a tall, blonde, woman going into Club Seat, which is, if you are familiar with the goth scene in Michigan, there's City Club in Detroit, which would, I was kind of aping here. I was kind of aping the, um, what someone like Carrie might think of the club. I'm not putting down. I get a lot of heat because everybody's like, "Oh, she made fun of goths. She made fun of goths." Well, no, Carrie made fun of goths. Carrie, I mean, come on. If you've read the book, you know her. She's not the kind of person that is gonna go in for that. She's not the kind of person that's gonna think being goth is awesome and she's really into magic and all of this. I mean, she's just not that kind of person. So don't hate me. It's the character. I want to keep her in character when I'm writing her, and you know I just have to keep her. I wanted to keep her completely consistent. I was just trying to be a good writer. So hard. So when she gets in there, she sees Dahlia. Um, and Dahlia takes her to uh, like a burnout old warehouse where people feed on vampires. And it's out by the highway. Um, the 131 in Michigan. I kind of imagine it where the actual train yard is, but that'd be part of one of those maybe like less used structures or what have you down there. Um, Dahlia lets her drink from her, and she says the flesh yielded crisply like the skin of a ripe peach, and her blood gushed into my mouth so fast I nearly choked. I bit myself, and I didn't bite through my veins and all of that. I bit like right back here. Oh, where my Carrie Ames tattoo is. That was on accident. I wanted to show you my cool tattoo. I would have gone like, check it out. There's my awesome Revolutionary France tattoo. Weatherman. I can't even show you. But anyway, I bit myself like right here, and it did feel like a peach. Like I bit down hard enough that it felt like when you bite into something crispy. Because I thought I needed to know for research, for science. And then I had a doctor's appointment, and the doctor saw it, and he's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, ugh, "It's research. It's all research." So she sees all these people are kind of dirty and gross and what have you, and then she goes and she feeds on Dahlia. And when she's doing it, she's like, "Oh my God, what if this whole thing is made up? What if this is a prank? What if I've lost my mind? What if I just think I am? And why am I doing this if that's the case?" And she freaks out, and then she sees her face in her compact mirror that fell out of her purse, and she sees that she's a vampire. And then it turns out that Dahlia knows John Doe or Cyrus. Dahlia knows him and is not happy with the fact that Carrie is his fledgling vampire. And she reveals that she has been luring Cyrus's fledglings off and then murdering them because she's jealous. She wants to be a vampire and he won't make her one. So she's quite crazy. She's quite I think she fancies herself as something of a supervillain, and really she's kind of ineffectual and has no power. But she really fancies herself as someone who's quite important. So she and Carrie fight, and Carrie is stabbed. So then she runs for help from Nathan, which is a fudge. You couldn't run from the rail yard that far you know, you couldn't do that with a stab wound because it's quite. So if you look at a map of Grand Rapids, you'll see that that part is utter bullshit. But she runs to Nathan's apartment. She gets there, and she's you know, he's not there, so she's just kind of like laying on the sidewalk bleeding, and she's tucked up in this door, and all the, you know, all the businesses are closed, so there isn't a lot of foot traffic. She's just, you know, out here in the middle of the night, and then Nathan comes back and finds her and gets her to wake up and carries her like a sexy fireman from a calendar up the stairs. Upstairs to his apartment and to chapter 5, which I will talk to you about soon, I guess. I'm really just picking up the pace here, but yeah, so have a good one, YouTubers. Oh, and if you subscribe to my channel, then you won't miss videos, and I suppose, I guess, pimp the fact that I write other books. If you like the Blood Ties books and you like romance, check out my books as Abigail Barnett. And you know, if you're a grown-up, if you're a teenager, don't. But if you're a grown-up and you have discerning tastes in the naughty, Abigail Barnett, check her out. That's me. And since I'm universally awesome, you know. Anyway, catch you on the flip side, I guess.